All right. Good evening, everybody. This is going to be our first Cognos Analytics session. The goal is to help you get started with using the application. And my name is Yelena. I am the Cognos Analytics administrator, as well as one of the teaching assistants in the program. All right, so today I'm going to show you how to access Cognos Analytics environment, and then I'm going to show you how to use an interface. We're going to talk about the differences between data sets and data module. We'll talk about the data preparation, data explorations, and I'm going to show you the short playlist of small videos that I started creating, right? And also questions and answers opportunity. So first of all, let's talk about what are we looking at. What is Cognos Analytics? It's a self-service with intuitive web-based interface. So what's happening is that at the time when the data was uploaded, the software did some analysis to identify what fields we have and what are the relationships between the fields. It extracts useful insights. We don't write any R or any Java or any Python code in here. It sort of does the work for us. Then we can drag and drop fields to the canvas, right? And we get the visualization. And when you're looking at the visualization, the system is going to recommend you the set of related visualization. You may also build interactive dashboards and stories. This is going to be our second session, all right? And you may also see what data is being visualized. And you can do reporting, which we don't cover in this course, okay? Now, this is very important. You don't want to use the browser back button because you might end up losing the work. Remember this, there is no recycle bin, so you cannot undo the deletion. If you delete the file on your PC, for instance, right, it goes to recycle bin, you can undo, but not in this case. If you delete something, that's it now. You cannot copy paste the text from PC directly. You have to use a Clipboard Tool. Always, always, always save your work, right? And you want to start working on assignments early. I'm not sure how to stress this, but this is very important in every class, okay? Now, I'm gonna show you how to access, and you already have an account. You already have Cognos Analytics account. So if not, then so what I want you to do is after this session, I want everybody to test your access. If you don't have, if you for some reason having difficulties with accessing your account, please put the Salesforce case, okay? You have a form in the classroom that you use to submit cases, and please make sure that you select the VDI case type. If you don't select correct case type, the case goes to no one knows where, okay? Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start from the beginning. Closing, I'm gonna start from the very beginning. So I'm gonna go to Google Chrome, right? That's my favorite browser in this case. And in the Google Chrome, in the URI bar, I put this vdi.umgc.edu. See this? And what this will do, it will take you to the university single sign-on page. Here you put your username and password. This is the same credentials that you use to access Leo. Okay, same credentials. Okay, now you're going to log in, and this is like you're logging into remote machine. This is not your PC. This is a remote machine that you're going to be using. Ooh, for unknown reason, it remembered where I was. But what you would do is this. Let me log out. I'm going to log out because I was logged in and it kind of remembered it. I'm going to sign out. Okay. Oops. I'm going to sign out from the Cognos, right? Okay. So I'm going to sign out. Leave. Okay. Look, when you log in, this is what you're going to see, right? Here it is. You're going to see this here, Cognos application. What you would do is you're going to click on open. Okay. Once you click on open, the Cognos is going to open in the new browser tab. It's using Google Chrome. For some unknown reason, let me sign out. Okay, now it's going to work. This is the screen that you're going to see, okay? This is the screen that you're going to see. What you're going to type in here is this. You're going to put your username, university username, and the password, I'll show you the slide now in a second. Here it is. So 2 steps. First step, you put the university credentials, right, to get to this page. Then you're going to launch the application, and here your username is going to be your university username. That's a username that you use to access your Leo and etc. And the password is going to be welcome. Let me explain how I came up with this. The password must have an uppercase letter, which is W, right? It must have one number. So what I did was I replaced, in the word welcome, I replaced letter E with number 3, because if you look at the keyboard, number 3 is above letter E, right? And then I added the exclamation point. So everybody has this password. Your username is the same as your Leo username, and the password is welcome, okay? This is what you do to log in. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into my demo account, because I'm not logging into my administrative account for this demo, okay? So bear with me. Okay. I'm using the demo account, but let's pretend that demo 2 is a student, okay? So this demo account that I'm using is gonna have the same privileges that you have. Look, this is what you're gonna see. This middle section in here, this is called the canvas. And what shows up in this section depends on what I currently have open, okay? Now, if you are on the welcome page, on this section, you're going to see a tile for each file that you recently had open. A tile for each file that you recently had open. My content is a content that only you can access. Your classmates cannot access my content area, okay? Your classmates cannot access it. Only you have access to it. Team content, this is a shared area. We have 2 things in here for now. These folders, calendars, get started, samples, and templates. Those folders are pre-installed. It means they came with Cognos installation, okay? Now, this folder we're gonna be using, it's data for data 610 assignments, right? This is where I put the data that you're gonna use for all assignments. And to help you, this is how it's organized. Look, you're gonna click on Teams, right? You're gonna click on Team Content. You see this folder, you're gonna click on this folder to open it. I have a separate subfolder for each assignment. Each assignment separate subfolder. For example, this is your very first Cognos Analytics assignment, right? The purpose is to show that you can access the application and do some basic stuff. So what we will need to do is, I have a file in this folder. The file is called insurance. You need to copy this file to my content, right? And you have to work from your own area, because this area you have access, your access is read only. You cannot add anything, you cannot make any changes to files in this area. So this is what you're gonna do, right? You're gonna click here. This is a file. When you click on this ellipsis, the action menu is going to open. And you are going to select copy or move. Now here you need to pay attention. Right now I'm in the team folder. Here I switch. I'm going to be in my folder, right? My content. You need to click on copy to, okay? What happens if you click on move to instead of copy to? You're going to get an error, because secretly move to removes the file from original location. You don't have a permission to modify this original location. So you're going to click here. You're going to select copy or move to. You're going to select your personal folder, and you're going to do copy to. Okay. Now what you're going to do is, this is my content, right? This is where the file is. And you are asked to do some analysis with these files. Now, for this small assignment that you're doing first, you're not, for this small assignment, you're not asked to create data module. And we'll talk about data module. For assignment 2, you are. Now, this small introductory Cognos assignment must be done to unlock assignment 2. In other words, Assignment 2 remains unavailable until you submit this assignment. So if you submit this assignment this week as a gift, you're getting more time to work on assignment 2, right? Because assignment 2 is due the week after. So when the sooner you get done with this small assignment, the sooner you can start on assignment 2. Okay, now so we talked about this as a my content, team content. Recent is files that you have recently opened. At a moment, I don't have anything, right? What else do you have in here? And okay, so here, this is the home, right? This menu, this option is available from all other files that we're going to create, and it takes you to the home page. It's the home page. Here, you may use this here to search for files, right? You put a search string and it's gonna find the files, right, that contain the word claims, perhaps, and those are the files that I have access to, right? Or you can further narrow down your search by folders, dashboards, data, the object type that you want to select, and the date when the object was modified. So there is a more detailed video on this, and what I did was, guys, and I'll give you the link, I put together a playlist of videos, of short videos on Cognos Analytics application. Some of these videos were done per student request, and you can request one too if you want some topic to be covered, and if it can be done, then I'll create it. So here, this is a video. The first one, it's in depth on Cognos Analytics application navigation, because well, I'm going over the searches and etc. Very, very deep in details, right? In the first video in here. Okay, so and I'm going over how to use this search. Okay, now let's do clear all and clear, right? And I also showed you what you can do. You can search my content, right? And you can also get organized and add folder and put files in the folder, right? So I can click on new, I click on folder, and I can say perhaps assignment 2, right? And I can save all my files related to assignment 2 into that folder, okay? So this is just to be to get organized. Now let's go back to the slides. I talked to you how to access the application. Now you cannot copy and paste the file from the local PC. You cannot copy and paste the text from local PC directly. So when I say that you have to use the clipboard tool, if I expand this, right, over here, this is a clipboard tool. So in order to copy something from my desktop, right, from my own, right, PC, what I have to do is I have to copy it here first, right? I have to copy it here first. And then I have to copy it to wherever I want to copy. I have to go through that little interface, okay? Now, what we're gonna do is, we'll continue. I showed you, I talked to you about Cognos Analytics basic interface. I need to tell you that these links that you see on the right-hand side, they are not working, unfortunately. Unfortunately, these links are not working, okay? But you can, but what I did was I created our own playlist, okay, with the videos. Now let's go back here. This is where you find the files for assignments. So for the next assignment, you're gonna do here, my content, right? This is a team content. You're gonna click here, and this is your assignment 2 data, okay? Then assignment 4 is a continuation of 3, and you've got these data sets to choose from, all right? I hope it makes sense. Now we're gonna continue. This is the data that we're gonna use for tonight's demo. So our data has information on car claims, such as claim amount, the claim type, right, the claim reason, then the accident location, right, and also car owner information, if the person is single, married, the person's employment status, the person's degree, and etc. Okay. Now notice this, take a look at this. This was a screenshot of the original file that was uploaded. And notice that you have a lot of those as a blank self. It means that you have missing values, right? The data has some missing values. And we're going to talk about several approaches that you can use to handle those missing values. And we'll have to do it in your assignment too, okay? So some records have missing values, and your assignment too, you'll need to handle missing values. And we're going to talk about it today. And there are also some videos in a playlist on missing values that cover it more in more depth. Okay, now, first of all, we're going to talk about data set versus data module here. When you're working on assignment, short assignment that's due at the end of this week, you're working from the data set, right? Next assignment, starting from next assignments, you're going to be working with data module. You're going to be creating the data module. So let's look at the difference. Data set is nothing but it's a Microsoft Excel or CSV file that was uploaded. And the file is in a columnar format. You cannot customize the data. You cannot add any calculations. You cannot add any navigation paths. There is no way to preview the data directly, right? And that's basically what I uploaded. I uploaded this for all data 610 students, so to speak. Okay, I uploaded these files. Now, data module. You create data module from the data set. It allows you. You may preview the data. You may define filters in the data module. Yes, and I'll show you. You may add calculations. You may preview the data, and if we needed to, we could combine it with multiple data sources. We're not doing it in this class, but in general, you can combine more than one data source in a data module, and data module can be used as a source for another data module. They can be used as a data source for the exploration, right, for the dashboards and stories. Now, please remember this. If you delete the data, everything, all files where you use that data as a source will become invalid, and this is permanent. So please, please, please think twice before you delete anything, okay? Now, so how do we create the data module? Let's go ahead and create data module. I'm gonna go to my content, and this is my claims and weather data that I am going to use for today. I'm going to click here. This is called the context menu, and I'm going to select create data module. Okay. I'm going to select create data module, and it's going to open the data module interface. So let's take a look at what we have in here. When I click here, claims and weather, so this is what? This shows me that my data was created from, my data module was created from the CSV file, right, which was called claim and weather. That was the file name that was uploaded to Cognos Analytics. What I see over here, this is a data preview in a grid. This is similar to Microsoft Excel because on the first here, on the first over here, I have the column headers, right? So those are the column names. Then here I have all my data, missing values, right? The data has missing values are represented as null. So if you see null, it means that the values are missing, okay? Now in here, you have a list of columns. Each column has a little icon, and the icon is based on the column data type, okay? So you have the numeric columns, right? Which are also called the measure columns. For example, the total claim amount is going to be a measure column, right? It's a measure because that's something that you can summarize. You can do the average, you can do the total, etc. And some columns are the text because policy type, right? The values are the text. Those are the categorical values, okay? So what else you see in here? For each column, you can look at the properties, and to look at the properties, you would right click next to the column name to open the context menu, and you're going to open the properties here, right? So the properties, you have a label, which is a column name, the usage. Well, in this case, country, well, this might not be the good column to look at because all of my records have US, right? All of my records are US. And this is the aggregation. This is basically if I was going to summarize the data on this column, it's going to count the number of distinct values. Perhaps I want to summarize this column based by state. It's going to just give me the number of distinct values. Data type is text, right? Because US is a text. Okay. And in here, if I wanted to, I could add screen tip is what you see when you hover over the column name in the visualization. Comment, this is internal comments, okay? So now let's go back to the slides. So this are the steps to create the data module, right? Those are the elements of the data module that I showed you, okay? Now, okay, and those are the properties that I just showed you. And remember, aggregation type is what I am using. It's basically how I summarize the column. If I'm going to summarize perhaps total claim amount, what am I going to do? Am I going to look at the average, or am I going to look at the total, or am I going to look at the column? Probably the average, right? Well, expression, it specifies how the column is pulled from the source, and we may need to edit one of the expression later today. Okay, now, and the data types, they are inherited from the data set that I used to create this data module. Very important part for your second assignment is data preparation. What is data preparation? You add filters, you may hide certain columns, you may change properties, you will learn how to handle missing data, and the options are excluding rows that have a missing data, or if the field is numeric, you can replace the missing value with a column average. If the field is categorical, you can replace the missing value with a predefined value. And this one, there is a video. One of the videos shows you how to replace the missing value of the claim reason column with the other. The value is other if the value is missing. Okay. In general, you would handle outliers, but not with this application yet. You can add calculations, right? And there are two types of calculations. There are standalone and embedded. Embedded calculation, you see the new column added, right? Well, you can create it could be field concatenations, right? Or it could be the custom calculations via editor. You can create data groups and navigation paths. Okay, now let's keep going, hiding the column. Basically, and you may have noticed already that over here I have a column row ID and the column heading is grayed out because this column is hidden. The hidden column is not, it's hidden from user's view. In other words, if you are using this data as a source for your data exploration, you're not going to see the column row ID, right? Hidden columns may still be used in the calculations that you define in the data module. But, well, let's say this way, it's hidden because you don't want the user to see that column directly. But it's not removed because the column could be used as part of some calculations, right? So the column must be there, but the user does not need to see it, something like that. Okay, so this is what hidden is. And to hide the column, you would right click on this column header and see that if the column is hidden, you would see show to users. And if the column is visible, you would see hide from users. Okay, so this column is visible. I can see this option will hide the column from users. If I choose this option, I will hide the column from users. Okay, now let's continue. Adding filters. There are two types of filters. Embedded filter is a filter that is applied right away. Selectable filter is a filter that I can turn on and off. When I'm doing my visualizations, I can turn it on, okay, or I can turn it off. By default, it's going to be off. Now let's take a look at the embedded filter. So here we sort of like killing two birds in one stone. We're gonna create an embedded filter to filter out the rows that have effective due date missing, right? So what is a filter? Filter specifies the condition that the row need to meet to stay, right? So what condition does the row need to meet to stay? Effective date is what? Not missing, right? So let's create this filter. Now here, it's very important where you click, right? To create an embedded filter, we click right here next to the data source name, and we're gonna select manage filters from the bottom here. This is manage filters. Now what we'll do is, at the moment there are no filters, we're gonna add the filters, but I want to choose expression editor here. I want to choose expression editor. Now I'm going to click add filter, and I have to use descriptive filter name. Let's say effective due date is not missing. Effective is not missing, right? Or let's say, actually, let's call this better. Has effective due date, okay? This makes more sense, okay? It's more intuitive. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna build an expression. What you see in here are the fields, the columns in your data, right? And here are the operators. So one way to define an expression is this. I'm gonna take this one here, effective due date. I'm gonna drag and drop in here, right? And I'm gonna specify the operator is not missing, right? So I have to find the operator. I can either type the operator or I can just drag and drop. So the condition is effective due date is not missing, right? Now what we'll do is we're going to validate the syntax. You always need to validate the syntax to make sure that it is correct, which is correct now. Now, to make sure that your setting is saved, you're gonna click OK. If you click on X or if you click on cancel, your changes will not be saved. Okay. Now, this filter is applied immediately. All rows where effective date is missing are going to be gone. Okay. All rows where effective date is null, they will be gone. Okay. So this is an embedded filter. We're going to create another filter, which is called selectable filter. That type of filter does not apply right away, but you may apply it when you do the explorations, dashboards, and etc. So if you have some type of filter criteria that you're going to be used often, it might help to define that filter in a data module, okay? Because the work is reusable. You want to make work as much as reusable as possible, okay? Now, for this, we need to use a different approach. What you have to do is this. Look, I right click here. Now, instead of selecting manage filters, I'm just going to click on filter. And in here, it's very important to have a meaningful name. So let's say I want to do small, I want to do personal claim for small vehicle, right? This is what I want to call it, and I'll explain why. So suppose that I want a selectable filter to be able to look at the car's small vehicle size, right? And I want to look at the personal claim. Just suppose that I want to, this is something that I'm gonna be looking at frequently in my analysis, right? So what I did was here, I spelled it out for you. So these are the steps for the embedded filter, and here are the steps for these are the steps for the selectable filter. Oh, it's personal coverage for the small vehicle, right? So let me go ahead. That's another way to add conditions. If you already have the expression typed somewhere, you can copy and paste. So I'm gonna go back in here. I want to copy and paste, but I cannot just paste it directly. What I have to do is I have to use this here. I paste it in the clipboard. copy it from the clipboard, and now I'm going to do paste in here. Okay, so this is what I want to do, right? I want to do policy type contains personal and vehicle size contains small. So this is my filter. And notice this, if I have I selected over here, right, at the bottom, it tells me the correct syntax for this expression, okay? Now let's do this. Let's go ahead and validate if the syntax is valid. And if it is valid, okay, so somewhere I messed up. Do you know where I messed up? It's a quote. This is a Microsoft Word quote. See this? So now let's see if it fixed it. I think I fixed it now. Now, you need to save this, and in order to save this, you're gonna go here and click OK. This will save the filter. Now, if you look at the data, your data was not filtered, right? Because see this, I said policy type should be contain the word personal, but I see the corporate outer also, right? It did not get filtered out because this type of filter, it's a selectable filter. It will be listed next to your columns, right? It will be listed with your columns, and you may turn it on and off when you do the visualization. Okay. So that was the selectable filter, and I also have some videos on both filters. Uh, now Now I'm going to show you how to fill in the missing values, and another approach, second approach, how to fill them in. So what I did was I removed the rows that had effective to date missing, but unfortunately, I also have the income field where the values are missing, and I don't want to lose some data. So I want to keep the data row, I want to keep the rows, but I want to handle missing data, and you can do it by replacing the missing numeric columns with the column average. So to do this, I need to go down, and I'm going to go to the income, and I'm going to do here, and I'm going to go, this is properties, see this expression. Now what I need to do is I have to put an if statement. So I'll go here, this is my construct, and I have to use the if then else statement, right? So if income is missing, then I want to do something about it. Otherwise, I want to keep my expression as is, okay? Otherwise, I want to keep this field as is, okay? So if, let's define this condition. If income, right, is missing, I can type it or I can drag and drop, right? If income is missing, then what are we gonna do here? We're gonna take, so this is in the summaries function, this is average, right? We're gonna take average, and the average what? Income, right? It's going to be average income, right? And then for the readability purposes, I can do this. Okay, this is for readability purposes. So let's go ahead and let's validate this. Okay, so this is valid, hopefully, and then we're gonna continue. Okay, continue. So income variable, I replaced the missing values with the column average. Okay. I in a playlist I showed you earlier, there is a video on how to replace the categorical variable, missing value of the categorical variable with the predefined values. Okay. Now let's go back here. Okay. Now we are going to talk about creating new data exploration. But first of all, first thing first, we have to save it, right? So to save it, I clicked on save. I need to select my content, right? And I want to save it as claims and weather, claims and weather data module. Okay, let's go ahead and click save. And let's exit this too. It's saving it. Oh, okay. Now we're gonna go ahead and exit this. let's create the data exploration. The data exploration allows us to gain insights from the data that we're looking at. To create new data exploration, you can click on you can open the actions menu, and from the actions menu, you can select create exploration. Okay, this is one way. This is my recent, but you can also access this file from the my content, right? So this is my content. In the actions menu, I want to select create exploration. This will start new exploration file, and let's discuss what we see here. I receive several things. First of all, in the left panel, I will see my columns in the data, and the column icon tells the column data type. I also see the filter. This is a selectable filter, personal claim for small vehicle, right? I don't see the embedded filter. I only see the selectable filter. I don't see the hidden columns, right? Which was the ID, I think. That was a hidden column. It does not show in here. Now, why did I tell you to use descriptive names? Because now if I go here and if I look at the properties of the filter, it only tells me the filter name. In other words, there is no way to see how the filter was defined unless I go back to the data module, right? Unless I go back to the data module, I don't know how this filter was defined. You cannot tell it from the exploration, okay? Now, what else do I see? Here, well, this button allows me to choose the visualization type to get started. But let's discuss this diagram first. In here, this is a relationship diagram, and I also have a video about that. Every column is represented as a circle on this diagram. Then what you could, well, this one, the darker circle, is a dependent variable, which is total claim amount. Dependent variable is the same as it's a synonym for target variable, if you will. See here across the top, Cognos Analytics will attempt to predict which dependent variable we want to predict. See this? For instance, it believes the total claim amount might be the best column to predict here. And then you see, so here, this dot here, this is a dependent variable. And the other ones, the independent variables or other columns, they are also represented as dots. And the thickness of the connecting line tells us how strong the relationship is between two columns, right? The thickness of the line. And how do you do this? You can hover your mouse, right? If you hover your mouse, you're gonna get you're gonna see the strengths of relationship, and you're also gonna see the column names here. See this? Premium monthly and total claim amount. Okay. Now, if you click on the data point here, in the middle panel, you're gonna see the set of the visualizations that Cognos think you might be interested in. They're loaded now, but those are the recommended visualization or initial visualizations. And what you can do is you can add one or more of these visualizations to your explorations, okay? You may add this to your explorations. If I select more than 1 point, right? Like for example, let me select 2 points, right? My suggested visualizations will be adjusted accordingly, right? If I selected 3, my visualizations will be adjusted again and again, okay? But when you do that, please make sure that you follow the instructions, right? And every part of the assignment, please make sure that you follow the instructions, because sometimes if you do one step wrong, it's very difficult to fix, right? Okay, now over here, if I change the target, right? If I was going to change the target, then the diagram will be adjusted accordingly. Okay, if I change the target, diagram will be adjusted accordingly. But this is the best target for this data set, right? Because if you also if you look at the data, you could explain how they well, you can if you look at the data, you can explain basically here which factors determine the total claim amount, right? You're gonna look at these lines here. But I'll tell you, vehicle class is very important information, and we'll see why shortly. Now, I could add any of these visualizations to my exploration workbook. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to click on this plus, and it will add the visualizations to the visualization card to this exploration workbook. So let me take a look. I click over here. Oops, over here, right? I've got two cards here. For unknown reason, oh well, this is this as a pin, so it's not the cards. So if I go back here, if I look at it, right, I see that somehow I got one card, okay? But you need to really click, see this? It added that card. It added it twice now, so I'm gonna delete one. Okay, so this is how you add visualization from the navigation, from the network diagram, right? Now, over here, so this is my visualization. I can read the details in here, right? Also the details for the visualization. Now, here, if I select the data slot, it's going to tell me the visualization properties. For example, I'm using, this is a bubbles visualization. I need to specify which field I use for the bubble and which field I use for the bubble size. If you see this little asterisk here, it means that the field is required. You have to enter something here or you won't be able to see visualization, okay? Now, from here, you can look at the related visualizations. Cognos will try to find something that you might be interested in based on the current visualization you're looking at. And I can go ahead and I can click here to add this related visualization to my cards, right? Come on. Okay, so it got added. Now I got added twice. I got to go back and delete the second time. Okay. It was added twice for some reason, or actually even three times. Because when you click, you need to be a little bit patient that you're not opening another ticket. Okay. Okay. So now we're good. What I have to do now is I have to save it because you cannot rely on system 100% uptime, right? So I'm gonna click here my content, and let's save it claims and weather data exploration. Okay. Well, here we looked at how to add visualizations from the so we looked at several ways to add the visualizations, and now we're going to look at more. Okay, now we're going to look at more. But first, look at this. Here are the details. Those are the insights that you can glean from the visualization. So as you're working on your assignments, just read through this and write them in your own words. Okay. Do not copy this verbatim because this is the application work. This is not your original work, okay? Now, over here, you have a little friend, and I have a video about this friend also. You can use this to basically, you're sort of kind of asking questions about the data, right? So I'm going to type help. And in here, if I type the command show data, it's going to tell me which data sets I have available. The first data set that's listed is going to be the data source for this notebook. So now I'm going to click on this data source, and it's going to give me the list of column names. And for each column, it's going to show me the column data type. And if the column has outliers, like what is outlier? For instance, this is unusually large or unusually low values. For example, suppose that your instructor grades assignment 2, and most of you received A or B, right, on a test, but one person received only 10%. That person is an outlier, okay? That's what it means. Now what you could do is you can click on one of the columns to look at the details further. Now it's going to give you which columns influence this column, okay? It's going to give me which columns influence this column. Now you see the fields list, right? You can, now what you could do, oh, no, sorry, my mistake. Here it's going to give you the list of interesting fields rather. So those are the fields that people who looked for, those are the list of fields that people who looked at total claim amount column also looked at this set of columns. But if you want to see how these values influence the data, how the influences those make, right? You can click on this. What influences column? You can click on what influences column here. And it will show you the list of fields that are actually affect the values of that column claims amount, right? Now, what you could do is if you click on one of these fields, right, it's going to show the plot for that field. Okay. Then what you could do is you could add any of these plots to your exploration as a card. Any of these cards, but Jesus, in this case, there are two visualizations. Well, it might not be the best example, but then when you're satisfied with the visualization, you can do this. You can add, you can just go ahead and add. But to do that, I'm going to do new slide, new one, and I'm going to drag and drop it in here. It's supposed to do it. So this is a visualization that tells me the, well, total claim amount by income, something like that, okay? Well, but this is incorrect because the problem here is that I am computing the total for the income instead of looking at the average. I need to be looking at the average, right? So we're going to fix that quickly. But first of all, let's take a look at, let's keep looking at this. So here, this is the assistant, right? And if I want to rerun that, I ran the command that I ran before, I would need to click on the command in here. If I click on the command will appear here. And I will, let's do this. Look, I can click on this command and the command will be re-executed. That's what it's gonna do, okay? You can re-execute the command. Now, so we talked about this now, and I have a detailed video on this assistant, right? I have the whole video where I show bunch of details. It's because the sessions are not huge enough to show you everything, right? So, and also because a lot of videos in the course content for week 4 through 9 are no longer valid. So we're going to use my videos because they're also in light of the assignments. Okay, my videos are also in light of the assignments. So let's go ahead and cancel. Let's go ahead and save this. Okay, I hope it makes sense. So far, so good. Now what we're going to do here is, well, let's look at the slides because I went over a lot of stuff, but I don't always follow the slides. Oh, well, I'll need to talk to you about the exploration interface. I started talking to you about it. So in here, what you see, this is a list of cards, right? This is a list of cards. It's nothing but the set of visualizations that are in exploration, and each visualization is represented as a card. So to make if I need to update my card, perhaps I just gonna select it. I select the card, and what I see in here, those are the, it tells me how this visualization was configured, right? Like for instance, what is used as a bubble and what is used as bubble size, right? So this is, those are the settings that I can change, right? Those are the settings. Now, I want you to know that there are no settings to change the colors. There are no settings to change the fonts, right? There are no settings to change the to add the border. There are no settings to change the background because these features are not available in the data exploration. We're going to look at that in the next session. We're going to do the dashboard and stories in the next session. That's where you have properties you can change, the appearance properties you can change, but not in here, okay? Now, here, this is just the option what you want to do if you want to add a new card or yes, here there's an option to add a new card. You can add a card that you do well. You can add, see this, if I go here, I can add the visualization myself. I can click here and select choose type, right? Perhaps I want the column and then I specify the columns that I want to use, okay? To delete the card, you're gonna click on this. This is how you would delete the card, okay? So to delete the card, you want to select the card and then select delete. Alternatively, let's take a look at what she did. Oh, you can delete it here too if you wanted to. Okay, but I'm not gonna even okay. So let's take a look now. I showed you how to add visualizations, right? And you can add them from related visualizations as well. Now, next one, I talked about the relationship diagram, right? So this is what it is. Oh, and another thing is that the relationship strength must be at least 10% for this to be listed here. Okay. Now, this one is just showing you how you can, one way to add visualizations is to, you can select fields in your diagram, right? And it will adjust the visualizations, suggested visualizations accordingly. It would think you probably want some visualization for tickets one for two for. They assume that you want to do the same visualization here. So see that when you click on one on the total claim amount, the assumption is that you want to do the visualization for total claim amount. If you click on employment status and on claim amount, Cognos assumes that you want to do something applicable to both columns. Okay, so that's what it is. Next one. Okay, so this is how to use the embedded assistant. And one thing to note is that you have two versions. Assistant can be accessed from here, and assistant can be accessed from the top here. But this is only in data exploration. In a dashboard, you have only one access point for that assistant. Okay, it's here. Now what you'll do is so here I showed you how to use it, the assistant, right? Okay, this is also the assistant, and you have the video where I dive into the details. Okay, this is more on assistant. Well, this just shows that you can add visualizations. Well, I did it by drag and drop. Some people might do it by just copy and paste. But no, I think drag and drop is a better approach. You drag and drop and then you edit accordingly. You also get the insights in natural language, right? Okay, you'll get to this. Now, so we looked at this, right? What is a navigation path? Well, and you also have a short video on the navigation path as well. Navigation path allows us to drill through the data. Perhaps the data has some hierarchical structure. The hierarchy could be, for instance, country, and then you've got the state and the city. This is a hierarchy. Another example of the hierarchy is data 610, assignment 1 grade, average grade. I can look at an overall average, right? And then I could look at the, so see this? So see here, oops, sorry. In here, well, I can look at the overall grade average for everybody who's taking data 610, right? Then I can look at the average for the session, right? I can look at the average assignment grade for the session. So that's what I was going to say. So this is a hierarchical data. In this case, perhaps we want to do this location code inside the state, okay? So here I have two levels. In the recording that I created for you, there are three levels in a hierarchy. Now, the columns may or may not have logical relationships. Well, for instance, years and months, they have a logical relationship, but you may have something like, perhaps I could do state on the education level. There is no logical relationship, okay? And you may have many navigation paths. You're not limited to one navigation path. So let's go ahead and quickly create this. Oops, what's going on? Okay, here it is. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to do, so here are my columns, right? And I'm gonna go to, this is a navigation path, and I'm gonna create navigation path. But one thing I want you to keep in mind is that the navigation path that you create here will be available only in this data exploration. It won't be available at other explorations and other dashboards because it's defined inside this specific file, okay? If you want your navigation path to be available for all exploration dashboard stories that use this data set as a source, you would need to add the navigation path in the data module, okay? But the way you would do this here is that you would just drag and drop. Like perhaps if I want to do the state code, and then I want to do the location code, right? Something like this. Okay, so it named this for me. It's gonna name the navigation path for me. Now I need to save this. Okay, I need to click OK because if I don't, it's not gonna save my visualization. Okay, so I have this hierarchy. I can look at the data by state, and then I can look at the location code inside the state. So this is a two level, and in a video, on a playlist, I'm showing you an example of the hierarchy that has three levels, okay? Now you can use this in a visualization, so let's do this. I'm gonna create the new card, and now I'm gonna add the new visualization. Oops. I'm gonna add the new choose type, new visualization, and I want to do this, the I think it's a heat map, something like that, yes. Oh, yeah, this is a tree map. Let's try that. Okay, so now I need to specify I need to specify what I want to use, right, for my area, and I'm gonna drag and drop. I want to use a state code and a size. I want it to be the average total claim amount, but before we do that, we need to fix the aggregation for this column, because if we don't change it, if we're gonna see the overall, we're gonna see the total of all claimed amount. That's not what I want to look at. I want to look at average claim amount, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and change it here. But this change will be available only for this data exploration. It won't be available anywhere else. If I want this to be available for all files where I use this data as a data source, you'll need to make this change in the data module, okay? Now I'm gonna click on a done, and I'm gonna add this total claim amount into the size, okay? Oh, it's wrong. I'm gonna do remove. When you add something, you want to make sure that this is the field where you want to edit gets a little highlighted, if you will. Ooh, okay, now that's correct. Total claim, average total claim amount, right? Oh, my fault. This is not what I want to do. Let's go ahead and delete this. Let's go ahead and delete this. Remove columns. What I want to do here instead, I want to look at the number of people that I have. let's look at the number of people that I have. Let's drag and drop the customer. Okay, let's look at the number of customers. And again, remove column. And I'm going to go, the size is going to be the number of customers. You want to make sure that the slot should be highlighted. And for some unknown reason today, it's just not cooperating. So that's one reason I have the recording on the navigation path, because sometimes it's very difficult to demonstrate without these little hiccups. Okay. There we go. So what I do is here, the relative size of this little square is proportional by the relative fraction of the population, if you will, right? The larger size, the larger rectangle means that I have more people, right, in the state. I have more people who submitted a claim in the state. Now what you could do is you could do, if you right click, there is an option to drill down. Within that state, within the selected state, I'm going to be looking at the location codes now. And location codes are what? Suburban, rural, and urban. Those are the three, right, location codes. If I click over here at the bottom, I see what data is being visualized at the moment. This area here is gonna, well, after it's done loading, it's gonna show me, see this? So in this specific visualization, I'm showing the location code, customer, and a state code, okay? Customer is a count, is a number of the customers, because if I look over here, if I go look at the properties, it's gonna tell me how this is summarized. So this is a count distinct. It's not the number of claims, but it's number of distinct customers that we have, okay? That's what this does. And then to go back, you click here and you can do this. And this will take you back to the top level of the hierarchy, okay? So now let's keep rolling here. I'm going to, we talked about the navigation path and how to use this. Now, what is a calculation? Calculation is an expression that you add. And it could be, for instance, it could be the columns that can concatenate the other two, or it could be something like, in this case, perhaps I have a monthly premium amount. I could add a calculation to calculate the perhaps annual premium amount. That's going to be the monthly premium amount multiplied by 2, right? So let's do this first. Well, we need to understand where we add our calculations, because if I want the calculation to be available everywhere where I use my data module as a source, I have to add the calculation in the data module, okay? So what we're going to do right now is we're going to save this data exploration. We are going to close it. Now we're going to go back to data module, but it's very important that you have to close it, because then any changes that I make to data module, right, should be visible inside the data exploration. So if I add a new column to the data module, it should be available in the data exploration once you reopen it, okay? You would need to reopen the data exploration to see the change. Now, so I hope you're good so far. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into this data module, right? This is my data module. I'm gonna add the calculation. So what I do is I need to click here, new, and I'm gonna do new calculation, okay? And suppose that I want to do something like annual. I'm gonna do something like annual premium, right? And well, what I'm doing now, this is a calculation editor, right? And annual premium, it's gonna be the monthly premium here and multiplied by what? By 12, right? And I call this annual premium. It's very important that you name it, right? And now you have to click on OK. Okay. So what this will do is it adds a column to the front of the data, and the column is and it's going to see the value which is calculated, right? It's now uploading, but it's gonna edit as the first column. See this annual premium? But at any time, if I have to edit my filter expression, I can do this. I right click, and then you can do edit calculation. Edit calculation, okay? If at any time I need to change my calculation, I can do edit calculation. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Because now, oh well, look, this is what was added, right? This is this column. What we're gonna look at now is a more, little bit more advanced. Well, actually, I'm gonna do another example of the calculation. Suppose that I want to know the average claim amount by employee type, perhaps, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click here and I'm gonna add another calculation. Oops. Right click here and add another calculation. And this time, let's call it average claim amount by, let's see, can we do response? Let's do response. Okay, so this is going to be average claim amount by response, right? And the calculation is going to be like this. You're going to have a function called average, right? So this is the no, it's not in the operators, it's in the summaries. And the summaries is going to be average, right? Now, what are we taking the average from? We're taking the average of this one, the total claim amount. Total claim amount. Not sure where it went. Oh, I have to look at the fields. So here I see the total claim amount. I'm going to drag and drop it in here. But yes. And now what I want to do is I don't want the whole column average in this case. So I can do this. I can enter. I can type 4. And 4 is going to be what? Claim reason, right? Yeah, let's do claim reason. Okay, so this is a claim reason. So now what we're going to do is we're going to preview this. Well, and this just checks if there are any syntax errors. Okay, so if the okay, this is going to add a new column, right? Okay. Oh, sorry, I did not want to take claim reason. I want to take the response, right? So I'm going to go up and I'm going to find the response. And if I cannot find my column right away, I can do this. I can type it here. Here we go. This is a response. Okay, for response. Okay, so now let's validate it and then we're going to save it. Okay, I'm validating it and then I'm saving it. Okay, and I'm going to do, cool, I'm going to do save now. It will close. Okay, so this is a calculation. Next, we're going to look at the data groups. What data groups does? You have a numeric column, and the data group is gonna bin it. In other words, this is also called binning, and it's also called the discretization, depending on what you're looking at. And I have 2 videos on data groups. One is for the numeric values, and one is for categorical because it works differently. But let's just go ahead and quickly do something. Suppose that I have an income, right? And I want to do, and this is actually what I'm doing in a example. Well, yeah, let's look at it. Suppose that I want to look at the income tier rather than the income. So I'm gonna right click here, or I'm gonna click here, and then I'm gonna do select. I'm gonna say create data group. For income, I want to create data group, and when I do that, it will add the column for me. It will name the column name as regional column name, suffix with the group. By default, the number of groups is 5. And here it creates the border values. I can change it. I can change the boundary values, right? I can edit this. This is editable. But right now, let's go ahead and click on create. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and click on create. It will add the first column to the data set. But if you look at this, I have this illustrated in here. So this is what it's gonna do. It's gonna assign the numeric value into a bin based on the range, right? And it will add two columns. The first column is gonna be the hidden column with the bin number, and so you're gonna see two columns. First column is going to be the bin number, where the original value falls into, and the second column is gonna be the category, right? So here, this is my original income, right? This is my original income, and if I go back over here, see this is an income group, right? So those are the labels that you saw in the boundaries. And this is a group number. This is a group number. Okay? So I hope it makes sense. And then for the categorical variables, suppose that I have this coverage something type. So see that this is a coverage, right? What I could do is this. I could click here, create data group. I hope this is this one. And here it's going to list me, it's going to give me the values that I have for this column. And then I would have to, oops, that's not what I want, because here I have only three values. I think it's in a claim something. Hold on. It's not this, but it's not the sales channel. It's a claim. It's not the claim reason, but it's a policy. It's something like in a policy. Let's do policy. I'm gonna click here. I'm gonna click create data group. I think it's this one. Here it is. So what I want to do is I want to group based on. I want to put all corporate in one group, all personal in another group, etc. Unlike with numeric data, you do not get the predefined bins in here. You have to create them yourself. So I'm going to click on new group, and I'm going to name this group as corporate. Okay, so I've got the values in here, and I want to add corporate L1 through L4 into this bin. So to add, I just highlight the values and click on a arrow to add this, right? Okay, so this is a corporate. Next group is going to be what? Personal, right? I'm going to do this and I'm going to say personal. And now I'm going to add the values too. So we've got personal, oops, we've got, oh, forgot to show you. See this, when you select this group, in here, in this right panel, it shows you the values, right? It shows you the items in the group. Now I'm going to click on the personal, okay, and it's supposed to add this. Oh, forgot. Look, you have to click on here, the value, and you have to do it this way. See, this is personal. Now we also have a special. So what I'll do is I'm going to add another group, and I'm going to call it special, right? And I'm going to grab. I'm going to put the remaining values into the special group. Okay. I hope it makes sense to you guys. Well, okay, this is going to be this here, and then I need to save it because, yeah, I would lose everything, all the work if I don't save it, right? And you never know, you cannot count on power outages, etc. You want to make sure that all your work is saved, but some steps require to be saved before you can continue, okay? Now it's saving, and while it's doing that, let's go back to the slides. I showed you how to do this. I showed you how to do this. Okay. We're gonna talk about spiral models now. Okay, so here it is, right? I'm gonna go ahead and save this. Now I'm going to return to my data module. But first of all, I wanted you to notice that if you have little asterisk next to this file name, it means that your last changes weren't saved. Now, when I save, the asterisk is gone. I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to go back to the, wait a minute, it's supposed to close. I close it. Now I'm going to go back to the home page. Home page. Come on. Okay, I'm back at the home page, and I'm going to go back to the exploration. Oops, come on. Okay. Claims and weather exploration. This is my exploration. And then when I click on this here to see the data, notice that I have my filters added here. All my filters that I applied, all selectable filters that I applied in the data module, and all of this other, well, the calculation, it should be available here too. This is the annual total claim, okay? Annual premium, rather, sorry, annual premium. It's available here, and you may use it in your navigations. But next thing, let's look at the spiral model, and also called the drivers. So I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna do new card, and I'm gonna choose type, then select spiral model. You have something on about the spiral model in this assignment, and then in assignment 2 there's a little bit on it, but assignment 3 will be focused on a spiral model in decision trees, and I have created 3 videos for that so far. There is a video on driver analysis, there is a video on decision tree, and another video is on the sunburst. I'm showing you how to interpret the sunburst, and I'm looking at the sunburst and the decision tree at the same time, because there is some information that they give in common, right? Well, let's talk about this. So first of all, this is a spiral model. To visualize something, I need to specify the target. In my case, this is a total claim amount, and I put it in the target, okay? That's all I need to do for this. What I want you to look at now is that this visualization consists of many pins. Each pin corresponds to the combination of the drivers, and you have a one-way driver, two-way drivers, and a combination. You have an option to uncheck and to look at one-way driver only. Now, what I want you to do, please take note. Please take note. When you look at the one-way drivers only, the one-way driver with the highest predictive strength is going to be used as a force split for the decision tree. When we build the decision tree model, the variable, the column that is used for the force split is a one-way driver with the highest predictability, so to speak, with the highest predictive strength, okay? And also, if you hover over this pin, you're gonna see the column name and also the predictive strength. For this, for the column to be listed in a search drivers, it must have at least 10% of the predictability, if you will, right? Well, it's going to have the predictive strength at least 10%. If the column does not have predictive strength at least 10%, it won't be listed here, okay? And if you wanted to, or you actually will have to, in your homework assignment, you would need to adjust the drivers, because assignment 3 calls for 2 models. This is what you do. You create, you use one data set, the single data set, and you have a single dependent variable, but you defined the models, 2 models by, you can take the subset of data, or you can specify the certain data that meets criteria and focus on that data, okay? Now, let's look at the drivers, right? But actually, before we do that, we also have this. Let's do new, and then we're gonna do the single card, and I'm gonna choose what do you call this? Driver analysis. Let's look at the driver analysis now. Driver analysis is basically the spiral visualization sliced. It's a spiral visualization sliced. Oh, I thought I did this. Huh. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. I see what's wrong. I did not specify the target. So let me drag and drop the target. Okay. Now it's gonna adjust. Well, basically here, this is, look at this as a sliced spiral model where every driver, right, that is a combination, or if it's a one-way or two-way driver, is represented as a pin. The closer the pin to the right, the stronger is a predictive strength. And the visualizations that you see at the bottom depend on what you selected. The visualization depends on the drivers that you selected. Like for example, in here, as the driver that I selected is the employer status, a predictor of total claim amount. So this is a visualization that's done for me. It will try to find the best visualizations based on the drivers involved, if you will. Okay, and so on. But you remember that the first column is the first driver, right? Okay, now it's, yeah, but when you download it, okay, this is correct. Now look, it's different because I have different variables, right? And the color code tells me the relative total claim amount. Here, since I have more than two variables, I get the decision tree, okay? Now what we will do, we will add a new decision tree on by our own. And the way to do it is this, I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna create a single card and I'm gonna go choose type and I'm gonna choose decision tree. Decision tree. And again, I need to specify my target and it's a total claim amount. Okay. Now it's gonna build this decision tree. And what did I tell you guys about the first split? It's going to be what? The variable, it's here, see this vehicle. Did I tell you that? So vehicle is the first, and then it's going to the employment type, I think. Well, one nice thing about the tree is that you can collapse. You can collapse the portions that you don't use, and you can expand the portions that you use, that you're looking at now. And I'm trying to collapse this to get myself more space to order to see the screen. Okay. Now, well, in here, we check the checking the vehicle class, and then it's taking the car type, right? And then it's gonna check in if individual is employed, etc. So the way I read this tree is this: I would come in here and I would ask, is the car a two-door car model? If the answer is yes, I take this part. If the answer is no, take that part. And this is actually, yeah, look. So from here, you can derive the rules, because to derive the rules, you go from the top to the terminal nodes. Terminal nodes are also called the leaf nodes. Those are the nodes that we arrive at the end. Now you could also see the subset of the tree, right? You can do that and see it as a subset, right? This could eliminate some of the data. You can see the subset. But for your assignment, I would recommend that you take a screenshot only of the portion of the tree that you're discussing, actually, okay? You don't have to take a picture of the whole tree unless you really want to play this, what do you call this, collage game or something, like where you print it, you cut out, and you use the image editor, etc. This is no, that's not what expected, okay? Don't spend time on that. Now, the decision tree can be also represented here as rules. And over here, this is the average predicted value of the total claim amount. And this only covers less than 1% of records, right? And here it's a little bit complex to see. It's much easier to see when we get to sunburst diagram, okay? So now this is the next rule, and it tells what the percentage of the record that it's applicable to, right? And so on. It keeps on going. So as we're going down, right, then we are covering higher percentage of the population, right? So then if you see the brand new claim, if you choose a brand new claim, you would need to see in which set of rules the new claim fits into to estimate the claim, right? You need to check at which set of rules the claim fits into, right? And also another thing what we have is a sunburst, but usually in the videos that I created, I presented slowly. So this is what I was doing. I would minimize everything minimized, right? And I was only look at this root node, right? I'm trying to minimize this. Minimize. Oh, because I've got this. See, it's because I have the branch. Okay, so now what we're looking at the vehicle class. This is a decision tree that I pruned. I only left the first split vehicle class. Let's look at the sunburst. What is it gonna do? Vehicle class, but instead of showing me the actual rules, it's showing me each section here, right, stands for the vehicle claim types, and the segment length, right, tells me the fraction of the data that it applies. Okay. Well, because if you see here, I have different. I have three segments, right? And if you notice this segment over here has covers least number of claims. But the goal here is that you want to find the decision rules that describe most of the data, right? So what I did here, I looked at this here tree diagram, right? And now I can hover over each of these three nodes to determine the percentage of data that each node covers. The first one is 71%, etc., right? Yeah, this is small. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here, because this one, the first one covers the highest number of the observations, if you will. So let me go ahead and I'm going to close this. I'm going to collapse this, because I should have had only this one, the vehicle class visible. Now I'm going to look at the employment, right? But I'm only looking at the employment if the vehicle class is 2-car or 4-car. I'm only looking for that. So let's take a look at what this will do. It added this another layer, right? And it's called employment, right? Employment type. And notice that the arc links, right? The total arc links. See this it covers the total arch covers part of the circle where the vehicle class was 2-door car or 4 doors car. Well, do you see this? So this big thing, right? This is a fraction of people who have 2-door car and a floor car. Okay, so that's majority of your data, and you can do it. You can go in and go on and on to until when. Well, let's think about the stopping criteria. First of all, this is related to Cognos analytics. You cannot have less than 25 observations in the same child node. So if you end up with less than 25 observations, the split is rolled back and the splitting for that specific node will stop, okay? Rule 2, you cannot have more than 36 nodes on a tree, okay? It has to do with the implementation. Next rule is when you tried all other options, you exhausted all other options and you are not sure, what to do, okay? So if you're not sure, if you're not sure what to do for this assignment, well, first of all, please watch the videos. In the videos, I go over the decision tree model. I go over the sunburst visualization. and I tell you what you need to do that assignment. Okay, I'll tell you what exactly you need to do in terms of well, so here I have one model, right, for example, and I tell you that to create a second model you have to you can select different fields. You can do visualizations on different fields perhaps, right? Or you can do visualization on a custom column, on calculated columns rather, instead of the actual column. But see this over here, if you click here, uh, it oops. So see this total claim amount, there is an option to edit drivers. I'm clicking edit drivers and I'm being optimistic that, okay, there it is, it opened. So now over here, if I don't want income, for example, to be used as a driver, I just uncheck it, okay? And I click on okay. Makes sense, right? So we went over this, guys. Okay, and you may edit drivers, right? But just by adding and removing fields that can be used as a driver. I show you driver analysis, and I'll just show you decision trees. We looked at the decision rules, and I showed you the sunburst. One remaining thing is a comparison card. Comparison card allows me to see two visualizations side by side. Like, for instance, I'm on the explorations right now, and over here, I have perhaps monthly premium, but total claim amount for a vehicle class. I can define this so that it only shows perhaps for the small vehicle size or something, right? So, or, well, actually, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's add a filter in here. Oops. Yeah, we're gonna add a local filter, but this is a local filter that applies only to this visualization. And I'm going to specify, well, I'm going to specify the condition. Let's go ahead and add actually gender. Where is gender? Gender. Okay, here. This is our gender, and I'm gonna add it here. I think it was here. Now I'm allowed to, I can specify what I want to see and what I don't want to see, right? And suppose that I want to do one and I want to leave a female and remove the male. I created this, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my cards and I'm going to make a copy of this. Copy, right? I'm going to just copy the visualization card. That's all I'm doing. Nothing else. Okay? Well, I thought I copied it. Well, this loneliness is going to create a little log because I was going to show you the comparison visualization. So, oops, let me see. I thought I did this. Hold on, copy, and then I do duplicate, right? Oops. Sorry, for some reason, sometimes this does not cooperate. Oh, here it is, duplicate. There we go. So now I have two visualizations, right? But the difference here, I'm going to make, in the second one, the difference that I'm going to make is this. I want this to be, wait, where is the calculation? Oops. So what we can do is I want to do the gender, right? Okay, here it is. I want to change the gender to male. What's happening? Filter data. Oh, the filter got dropped, so I need to re-add this. I'm gonna click on here and what did I add before? Let's take a look at this again. So here, those are the two cards, right? And on the first card, I thought I had a filter. Oh, here it is. On this card, I'm filtering to see only male, right? Only males. Now I want to perhaps see only females, right? So what you need to do is you need to change the local filter here, and I'm going to find what you need to change this to. So it's a gender. right? It's a gender. What is it? Wait, sorry, sometimes this thing does not obey. So if it happens, I just go in. I could sometimes I just go in, I can type what I'm looking for, right? But uh, where is the gender? Gender. Here it is. Now I'm gonna drag and drop gender into local filter slot. Come on, come on. And I'm going to select the male because I just, well, I'm gonna select males because I saw the males before. Okay, so let's save this. Okay, now what I'm going to do is this: I'm going to the navigation card and I'm going to select these two guys right here. I'm using the control key. Okay, now oops. Now over here I have an option, and the option is to duplicate. Okay, well, it's gonna create a card here side by side that I can use for, oops, not duplicate, my fault. I should say, come, hold on. I'm gonna select like this, right, these two. And instead of duplicate, I need to select compare. I'm sorry, guys, my fault. I need to select compare. That's what it is. Now what it's gonna do is it will put two charts next to each other, and you can actually select one data point on the first chart, and the corresponding data point will be selected on the second chart. So here, this is one way to look at if gender has an impact on claims amount. Okay, does gender have an impact? And this is a chart. And I could, if I wanted to, I could select just the claims amount and see, the claim amount will also be selected on the first visualization. Okay, so this is a comparison. I hope it makes sense to you guys because today I'm covering a lot. Okay, I'm covering a lot today. Okay, now let's go back to the slides. I believe that was almost. Oh, and then to save the exploration, you're gonna save it in the my content, okay? Remember this. Now, I'm not sure how else to emphasize, but this is a link to the playlist, and you're gonna be getting the slides. Now, this is how it works. Some of these videos I edited them because I thought that they were necessary because there is nothing really in a course content just to show you examples. Well, I created some of them myself, and also based on experience from past semesters, right? But some of the videos were created by student request. So, for example, last week the student did not understand how to use the case statement, and he asked for a short video. I went ahead and I made it, right? You would need to submit the Salesforce case, and then when Abel contacts you, tell him to contact me. It has to be escalated to me because I'm making this. Sometimes I make as I see something happens, or sometimes it's in response to someone's issue, so to speak, right? Like the other day, the guy asked if he could see the video on perhaps data group, right? Then when I went in and created, somebody asked for a video on the sunburst visualization, right? I went ahead and created it. So this is both, okay? And you're gonna see more videos added. There are already some on displays, but you can just ignore them for now because that's a list that I'm creating for all sessions, right? 9040, 9041, which began 8 weeks ago, and now new session. So you go ahead and like watch everything that was created so far. And if you think you need something added, right? Like for example, you want to see an example of specific calculation. Well, if it cannot be done, then I'll tell you. If it can be done, then there'll be a video, and the video will go to the playlist and will be available for the whole class, right? For everyone. Because if one person, for instance, had question about case statements, I was sure that other students would be interested to see that also. So I went ahead and threw the video and put it in a playlist. Okay. So you may request Instructors, you may also request. Oh yeah, you may also request. It's a fair game, right? If you see that your class needs help with some functionality in Cognos perhaps, or you see some issue going on, yeah, I'll go ahead and create it, okay? So you know where to access the playlist, right? You know your tasks. The short-term task would be to make sure that you can access the Cognos. Okay. Now, password is case sensitive. Remember, your username is the same as the username that you would use when you access Leo, right? The only difference is the Cognos password, and it's the same for everybody and also listed in the slides. I will send the recording of this session, and I'm going to send a copy of the slides to the professor, right? So, yeah, and what else I was gonna say? Now, we're opening the floor for questions. Let me see. Questions. I like to see questions. Well, if there are no questions, then, you know, questions. Kate, you may ask questions also. Faculty may ask questions also. If there's anything that you would like me to clarify for your students.
I think one of the questions that always comes up is, you touched on it at the beginning, but it's what data sets students use. And I know you showed it at the beginning with the teams,
Yes.
but that's always seems to be a common question.
Yes, and also, yes, and also if you look at the, well, this is change, recent change now that they submit the Salesforce ticket. In the course content, there is also a page for the Cognos, and there is a screenshot of the data. And every assignment also has now the screenshot of where the data comes from. So we made some improvements because this is all about listen to our students who are also our customers, right? So let's go back to the home page, right? This is what it is. And you go in on team content, right? So you see this, oops. Yes, so this is, well, here, this shows me which directory I'm currently in. So if I go back here, team content, this one is here, data for assignments, and I have a separate folder for assignment. And if you go to Leo, there is also a screenshot of this. There is a screenshot of this whole thing, right? Because you also got the samples. Sample folder shows you sample exploration, sample dashboards that you can preview, and sample stories. Because actually, if I was going to discuss the permissions in more depth, your permission for the team content is called run, because you're able to see stuff and you're also able to preview some of the examples like dashboards, etc. But you cannot make changes, right? So this is where the data is. And also assignment instructions now have a screenshot of where the data is located. So that should hopefully will address some of the concerns we had in the past, right? Am I right, Kate? Kate?
Yeah, I had to find my unmute button. Yes, I think
okay.
that'll be.
Yes.
That,
And also, yes, it's very important when students submit tickets, they have to select the VDA case type. It's because if they don't select it, the case goes to the wrong department. And especially if it's a weekend, it's going to take a while for them to forward it to us. So, well, this is very important. And we ask them to make the VDA to be default, but they're still working on it. It's a long story, Kate. I can explain it to you offline what's going on.
oh,
But
sure. I'm not worrying about it for now.
Congrats on your promotion, Kate.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So, yeah, look forward to see you as an instructor. Okay.
And do we have background? Some of the students that like sometimes want to know what the fields are for the different data.
I think, yeah, I need to check if we have the description, because, well, for other assignments, we have a link in the course content that links to the description pages. I have to check. Yes, because there are links that explain what the data is. I think I'll have to check the assignments because there were some updates recently. Yes, there were some updates.
Okay.
Well, not for this semester, but a few semesters ago, we had to make some updates. Yes.
Okay, I just know that that's often a question because it's important to contextually understand the data, and if you don't contextually understand it, you're not going to be. It's going to be harder to do these assignments.
Correct. And then big assignment too, that's gonna be on predicting the price, the value of the home, right?
Yeah,
And yes, and what actually drives the value of the home, well, etc. Right? So yeah, and that one, it has missing values. That one has missing values, and you have to do all the calculations need to be done in Cognos. We are not, yes, we are not uploading, reloading and uploading. We're not doing any calculations in Excel, because if
right.
you upload the data again, then you lose the work. It's very complicated, but well, but this is the reason why the whole study was done by me. I did a lot of explored a lot of data module stuff, and I'll tell you, most of the stuff that I presented here, those are the solutions. Those are not the documentation. There's no documentation on perhaps defining a filter to handle missing value. It's a solution based on the documentation on how to create filter, and based on
Yeah,
the documentation what is missing is. So some of it are solutions. So there is a little bit of originality in here, so to speak. Okay.
yeah. Well,
So
let's see if anybody else has questions.
I think people left, but well, I mean, the question and answer session does not end now. I mean, well, okay, I forgot to mention that they'll need to listen to this video more than once. That's the whole purpose. And they will have questions. They need time to digest, I think. Am I right?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Especially when you get started working in this and you need to figure out where you need to be. It's just, it takes practice, just like everything.
Yeah. Yes. Practice and also watch this recording and also the small videos. Well, it's because also a lot of videos in the content, they became they became broken because IBM removed them for good reason. So here, this is a playlist. And right now we've got 19 videos, but I have been adding them gradually. Okay. Yeah.
And appreciate your updating these as the software changes, because we've already had some things where you go through and it's like you watch the video, you do it exact same way, and the product just changed, but you have the the videos that go with the previous version, and you can just chew up a lot of time, and then find out it was
Yeah.
it changed, which is it takes a lot of time to do that. So I
Yeah.
appreciate your updating them.
Yeah. Well, and they're gonna be, well, yes, because here we kind of like installed and the version is frozen. We don't do any updates on this, right? There's gonna be a challenge is Kate is aware of it when we get to data 650 class, because that work will be done in the cloud and there is no way to freeze the version for semester. So that's gonna be fun, But in this class, I try to make it easier for this class because, well, the videos that were in the course content were by IBM, but they're in a way up version. And, well, in their documentations, for example, they're talking about the Bucks and Whiskey plot, but it's not available until when? Maybe like next version. So I was like, ignore that part of the documentation because it's not available. So basically, when you have questions, if something can be done, I'll create a video. If something cannot be done, then it cannot be done. We'll talk about alternatives. Okay? But yes, I'm an administrator and I've created all of your accounts. So make sure that you can access and etc. Right? We'll be in touch. I'll be in touch with Kate. Yes. So okay.
Okay, thanks very much.
Okay, most welcome, guys. And I'm gonna send the recording to Kate and also another professor, Professor Wahe, session 9080. Yes. Okay.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. This was great. We really appreciate it.
Okay. So I'm gonna stop the sharing and I'm gonna stop the recording. Where is it? Okay, stop recording.